Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac, and on this bonus episode, I am interviewing another paranormal team, one called Unknown Paranormal. And here they are today. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hey.
All right. Would you guys go around and give us your name and what you guys do with your team?
My name is Phil. I'm kind of the tech specialist. I do a lot of the camera work. I'm also an investigator.
I'm Mike, lead investigator, researcher for the Unknown Paranormal.
And I'm Christie. I'm also another investigator and kind of like a manager. I just make sure.
All right. You know what's funny? I think there's a mic on every single paranormal team in existence.
Kind of balances us out, I think.
I got a mic on my paranormal team. There's another paranormal team that we talked to has a mic, and we've seen to find a mic on every single paranormal team that we've talked to. It's like you have to have a mic on your team in order to have a paranormal team or something.
Exactly.
I guess we're official.
Yep.
All right. A lot of things I ask paranormal teams that I've talked to in the past, and some questions people have heard before. But one is, how long have you guys been investigating?
Total years. We've been doing it off and on for 3, but we chose 2021 as our, let's show ourselves. Let's get onto the Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot, and be part of the paranormal world, really.
We were finding that we were gathering a lot of evidence as well, and we felt as a team that it was time to come out and share some of our findings, given that we were, doing it a lot more as well. It was time to come out, I think.
And what essentially got you guys into the paranormal in the first place?
We've all had our own personal experiences. For one, particular for myself, I grew up pretty much coming and going from my grandparents' house, and I lost my grandfather to cancer, and I decided after he passed I was going to spend about a week at my grandmother's house. I had my own set room, she had hers, and every night she made sure to come in and tuck me in for bed and tell me to make sure to say goodnight to Grandpa and stuff like that. And so I went ahead and I told my grandma goodnight. She tucked me in, and just under my breath there, I said, good night, Grandpa, wherever you are, and I hope you're safe. And then it almost felt like somebody or my grandfather had placed his hand on the top of my head and kind of stroked from the back of my head down to my shoulder blades as like a, rest well. And then that carried on for a little bit. Spending time with my dad at home, we would hear footsteps in our townhouse. And my dad would always tell me not to worry, it was just Grandpa. And I got to the point where my dad would actually ask his father, come down, I'll pour you a glass of wine and we can hang out and everything will be okay. And I remember very well actually hearing those footsteps come from the upstairs and make their way down the stairs and then stop, as if, he made it down the stairs and then now he's there with me and my father. And ever since then, I was drawn, watching the TV shows. When no one was around or I was in my bedroom, I would try to talk to my grandfather or figure out, it was that him that was there. And from that moment on, it was kind of, I think this was meant to be, to go out there and search for people who find themselves stuck and still looking for help.
For me, similar story, I grew up watching the shows. My mom would watch a lot of the shows, but I think what really, for me, got into it was years ago, grade 12. My Nana, when she was in the old folks home, she took her last breath. My Nana used to do this thing where she'd put her hand on my shoulder whenever, I was upset. She took her last breath, and in that moment, it was only her and I in the room, and I felt hand on my shoulder. Since then, I, of course, got more drawn into the paranormal world. I, even visiting cemeteries, strange things I were finding would happen, whether it be, a noise or whatever. And it just so happens, luckily, I have a family who are also into the paranormal, and we just kind of all drawn to it. We united, and we created the team, and it's been great. It's been awesome. But that's what kind of started it for me.
Your turn. Lady Christie.
Like he said, we've all had experiences. I've had experience. This is literally my family, right? So we've experienced stuff together, and that's my brother. So we grew up watching this stuff, and, we would try to communicate with anything that was there. So at a young age, we've always been drawn to this kind of world, I guess. And it's just nice to actually be a part of it.
Yes. And that's good reasons why most people get into it, is because they've had an experience. Some people get into it because sometimes they haven't had an experience and they want to see these things and experience things on this kind of level. But when it comes to paranormal investigators, I feel, as being one myself, but I feel like it's almost like a duty to try to expose this information out for everyone. Which leads me to a question. What essentially is your goal, essentially, when it comes to paranormal? Is there something specific you're looking for, an answer to a question that you need specifically answered, or maybe it's just curiosity, what happens to the other side?
A lot of it's curiosity, like, almost like what is it like after you pass? And they can kind of put their stories together, right?
Yeah, I think the cool part is, when we go out there and we investigate, a lot of people will seem to ask, is there a message that you want passed on? Is there any way that we can help you? Now, when we tie that in, and, behind science and everything else, is, can we truly, as investigators, still help? Whether it be crossover, whether it's letting them know that they've passed on and this is where they are. Simple things, I believe, that I think when people do pass, we never do have the opportunity to fulfill everything. Now, it could be as simple as telling someone that they love them. And if there's a way to communicate to the point where, we can find out who that person is, and we can relate that message to that person, find that person and let them know, I feel that we can help the people who are still wondering, what's going on with this person, or just helping that person relieve something that they thought they needed to say, and they said it, and we passed it on, right? It's still about helping at the end of the day.
On top of that also, it's honestly absolutely exhilarating when we're out on an investigation and we feel like we're legitimately having a conversation, an intelligent conversation. It's just a different kind of feeling. And sometimes as quick as we're having those conversations, it just can stop, the activity can stop. But in those moments when we're actually experiencing something and communicating, it's just a different kind of feeling. Like it's almost like an addiction, and we want more. You want them to stay. It's like, why did you go so fast? You gave us a couple of responses, and now where'd you go? It's exhilarating. It really is for me personally. It's a rush. It's exciting, and it makes me feel like we're accomplishing something. To be honest with you.
No, those pretty good answers. And something that I've learned from watching paranormal teams, or the TV shows you guys probably seen, watch, like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, and all the other kind of popular shows out stuff, is that I've noticed, in amongst investigators that I've met, is that there's three kinds of paranormal teams out there. mainly two, but the third is hard pressed to find because you rarely ever meet people like my team. That's why I say we've got separate. But the idea is still the same. The first kind of team I usually find around a lot most is the clout chasers. Once you do it specifically for fame, like looking to get famous, become the next Ghost Adventures, and become the next Ghost Hunters. Just exploring the paranormal just for that reason to get famous. The second kind I see is those who are seeking to help because they want to understand the afterlife, to understand why the spirit's still around, why you're still here. If they can help in any way, they do so. Yeah, granted, they gather evidence and stuff like that to help prove what these things that they're searching for is actually real. But it's never the priority is to, the priority is never to get famous off it. If it happens, it happens, but it's not major their prerogative. And then the third kind is specifically what my team strives for is to go to location and clear out everything that we can. Clear out all the evil and how anybody can cross over until the place is not haunted to barely haunted. Which kind of is like stealing the bread and butter away from a lot of paranormal investigators out there. But I feel like the class 2 investigators, Suji, would agree with us with most things. But it seems like your team actually wants to actually go out there and help and know why someone is still stuck at a location.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
In doing so as investigators, one thing I guess you always encounter, because you're always going to, granted, the stuff we do is scary to someone in the outside, outside of paranormal, but normally what we deal with on a daily basis is like an average spirit wanting to communicate. But there are times when you deal with something that's truly scary, that is almost dangerous. And how many, I'll say, what is your most scary encounters that you guys have had?
I think one of the scariest encounters, so we have here in Canada, the BC Penitentiary. And we reached out and we were able to spend a good hour and a half to 2 hours in the guardhouse of what's still standing. And in the basement of the guardhouse, there's corridors where they led to holding cells. And amongst those holding cells, we decided to do an investigation in one. We've captured, EVPs, we've captured orbs. And then it got to the point where we were making communication. And we asked if the spirit was still around, and if they were around, if they can make a noise. And away outside of the spirit box session that we were doing, we heard a very loud yes. And we all reacted, and we got up and we're like, is someone down here? Like, it was too clear to be not somebody. So we decided to keep going with it. We ventured out into the corridors where we captured an apparition of a spirit moving from the left to the right as it was walking by through the walls. Phil, our video guy here, decided to let's reposition our camera and see if we can make it happen again. So we set up, we were filming down the corridor away from where we just came from, and it's in solid blackness. And we asked, if you're still with us at this time, can you make a noise or a knock to let us know that you're still present? And about 3 seconds later, there was like someone went and fist punched a metal door. And the force was so strong, it actually knocked the light of our power off our tripod. And, again, we reacted. And, was that you? If you can do that again for us, maybe this time a knock. And believe it or not, that knock came. But when you're in complete darkness and you get that violent bang on a metal door that's about 5 feet away from you, it really sends the chills up your spine. Where is it coming from, for one, and how close to this entity or spirit are you really standing by, right? So far, that's been, I think, our scariest our moment, really. It's what really made us, really just the senses, you're hearing and you're seeing, right? You're feeling that energy.
Feeling, absolutely. The feeling in those moments, in those particular moments. Wow.
It was intense.
I guess that's something I forgot to ask at the beginning. Where are you guys exactly located?
For
Surrey,
BC.
BC.
British Columbia.
And for us, there you
Yeah.
Yeah, us Americans don't know the terminology Canadians use.
Like, believe it or not, we're talking to you from an igloo.
No, I think a lot of Americans would know Vancouver. We're in one of the sub-cities of Vancouver, basically, here in BC.
Okay. That's at least it gives me a geographical idea of where you guys are. Well, in that such case, Canada, I mean, the assumption mostly is that it's a lot of woods, a lot of wilderness and stuff like that, but a lot of Native American land as well. So it makes you wonder, have you guys ever investigated the woods and come across Native American stuff or a Native American land they've dealt with Native American spirits?
I don't think yet.
A lot of BC has, like you said, a lot of Native American land.
But it's almost protected as well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very hard to, and you don't want to disrespect anything as well, being on this kind of land. You don't want to muster up anything. It is protected land, and we want to do this in the most respectful way we can at the same time, right?
Yeah.
There are,
From my experience in, from my experience with the Crow Torrent Forest, dealing with encountering native spirits, you have to come with respect. At least let them know that you're not here to like mess their stuff up or at least disrespect their land in any way. But you say it's protected. Is it like saying you guys aren't allowed on those lands?
So the way that here in Canada is, there is native burials and native sites, and those are actually protected through the band itself. So they've made it actually private property. You can't come in. If you're fortunate enough to be by a cemetery that's close by a native site or a burial, what we do is we try to ask out to those spirits to come to actually us and speak with us if that's what they're wanting to do that. But we kind of find our threshold, how far can we go, and then respect that border.
In the time you guys have been investigating, because they didn't do Native American places yet anyway, but how many home investigations have you done? Like someone asked you to come to their home?
Right now, it was one. But the people that we've met that have told us home claims and are interested to find out what is actually happening in their house, we're having that trouble where it seems like they're almost too scared to face what you find. So they are curious on what we do and how we can help them. But to actually go about it and go to that home and do your investigation, they're almost the nicest way to say it is they're almost just too scared. They don't want to know, but in the way that they do.
Mm-hmm. I tend to find that out. Most people, so far anyway, that have asked us for help, or there's because we've kind of advertised we deal with the very dangerous stuff out there, evil spirits, demonic spirits, and stuff like that. So when someone asks for our help, it's kind of like they know they asked for us because it's dealing with something dangerous like that. So a few of the cases that my team have done is for people's homes anyway have been those kind of cases. Really yet to do, which kind of would like to do just to make it easier one time, is dealing with actual human spirits in someone's home. But
that's what we
that's
or like I think it's my grandma or grandpa or
which is something nice with that every now and then. You get to do, especially when you help someone know, and I've seen it a couple of times, helping someone acknowledge the fact of a dead relative that's been around them forever, but maybe they never knew truly that person was there. And it kind of gives them a sense of peace, especially when they're in the grieving process.
I agree that, yeah.
I guess another question I'd usually like to ask them, what is type of gear do you guys use, and what is your favorite piece of gear?
I'll be honest with you, gear-wise is kind of what we're lacking. But for the foremost, we spend a lot of time with spirit box sessions, EVP sessions. We have spirit balls or cat balls is what you order them as, that we use. And
They're motion activated.
yeah,
basically.
motion active. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I reference them as spirit balls, just to fit the class that we're in.
Yeah.
But we've also spent some time, trying to get an intelligent answer. Like, can you tell me what color hat I'm wearing? Can you tell me what color t-shirt I'm wearing? And trying to use ourselves really as equipment.
I find too, we catch a lot of our stuff on video as well.
Absolutely. We use a lot of video. The reason why these spirit balls are great as well is because we video a lot of our investigations, and it's just great, from K2 meters to like spirit balls. It's great to actually have this to kind of validate what we're doing. Like, did you see that? And there's often been times where, for example, something will happen on camera that we don't notice, whether it may be a shadow, a silhouette, a spirit ball going off that we didn't notice in the moment, or whatever. It's always great to go back to the footage and see, what did we miss? What did we miss even, audio wise? And we found that to happen quite a bit, where something will be picked up on video, sound wise or picture wise, that we didn't see in the moment, which is phenomenal in itself. It validates a lot of our findings we find.
We also spent some time researching the Estes method, if I'm pronouncing that right. And we've taken our own little twist on it, where we posted up, we did the headphone things, and we tried to cover our eyes with a hat just to make sure that we're not seeing anything that's distracting to us. And the communication that was being spit out from our mouths while questions were being asked were phenomenal. It kept us on track with a particular spirit. It got to the point where we felt like it was time to antagonize a little bit. So the way that happened was myself, I was sitting against brass doors of an abandoned asylum building, and we were doing the Estes method. So I had the earplugs in, and I'm listening to the spirit box, and I can't hear nothing. And all I remember is a voice come through the spirit box, and it said, "Watch this." Now, as my back was to those doors, it literally felt like someone just boot kicked the door down. And I obviously react and jump like, what was that? Like, you guys messing with me? And I look up, and the team is actually sitting about 10 feet away on the staircase of the building itself. So it was pretty intense. So, even though that the little bit of a lack of equipment, we are doing our best to prove other things with what we have. And really to go out there with a briefcase to every location and 30 different items.
Team of 3.
Yeah.
I'd like to elaborate on Mike's story a little bit. In that moment where we were doing the Estes method, like he said, he couldn't hear anything. The team, we were asking questions. The crazy thing is all we saw is Mike react. We didn't hear a bang or anything. We just saw him jump forward, freak out, and say, what the hell was that? But on the actual video recording of it, clear as day, you can hear the violent bang on the video. So the crazy thing is in person, while we were there, we just saw Mike react.
Yeah,
but on the video,
like, what's wrong?
That's where we actually heard the bang, clear as day, which just mind blew us. And that's why, we like to record a lot of what we do.
As I don't feel bad about not having gear or anything like that. I believe my team, we really don't have much gear to begin with as of, well, that, because it's not, I would say it's not that we can't, well, I say that we don't want it. It's just we don't really have any really use for it. But which all my team is of psychics. Well, I would say call myself a psychic abilities per se. But we all use our abilities to find what's out there, the paranormal and stuff like that. And when we're at a location, we kind of use our abilities to, prove at least that there's something there, but at least find what is there. And granted, the best equipment I've ever found so far is your own phone. The amount of things your phone can do, from video recording, from flashlights, to some of the apps that we have found that actually are very useful. I never give too much stock in paranormal apps, but the two that I always say that are the best is Necrophonics and Ghost Tube Vox. When it comes to getting a very high % chance of what's being said, at least what's actually being said between spirits there.
Yeah, I can agree with that. We've used we used both of those a few times, and the newest one that we're using is called Spirit Talker from the UK, and we've had some very intelligent feedback with that,
which have been kind of confirmed.
Yeah,
What we've asked for certain things through, actually, I guess,
psychic.
That had no idea of the conversation that we were having with this tour. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you guys worked with psychics before?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that regularly, like part of the team?
No, they're outside party, a different team here in Vancouver.
I know Vancouver is a good sized city, but I guess how many paranormal teams would be in Vancouver?
Oh man, off the top of my head, I can probably name about, I think there's at least 6. Just off the top of my head.
The most famous, of course, being, or the most well-known, rather.
Go ahead, finish.
The Vancouver Paranormal Society. I know they're massive.
They've been around for
a very long time.
Can't say I heard of them. I think maybe possibly. Then again, there's a lot of paranormal teams I don't know of because I really, well, there's other areas of my own around here anyway in North Carolina. Because like when me and my wife decided to be part of paranormal team, as we did, we looked up and there was one I guess the Jacksonville, North Carolina's like paranormal society, and they were real snotty about it. They wanted you to pay a fee to get in part of them. I'm like,
yeah,
and we had to like that doesn't sound right. But what we kind of found out about different paranormal teams is that it seems always territorial.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy to think that this kind of field is just so competitive.
Only we can investigate here. You have to go somewhere else.
That's exactly what
we don't like the politics of that. We just want to investigate. You know.
I don't care if you go to a location we've only been to. We got in and maybe they've had problems. Here, we'll give you the contact number if that's what you want. Like, just relax.
Usaba. Like, chill. We all have the same goal or a similar goal. Chill out.
I don't understand what the whole the territorial thing is to begin with and stuff like that. If you come in and give different evidence to say my team, hey, I want to know because I want to compare evidence that we got together. Because if the same thing you got, the same thing I got, then hell, it proves that it's correct. And if another team comes in and gets almost the same exact thing, that's the scientific method.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing here, I don't know how it is where you guys are located, but we find that we call it paratourism. And what that is like every time we seem to reach out to a location to investigate, they actually want money from us. And the bill is, there's been times I was charged like $1,300 to go and investigate. And it's like, oh my God.
Well, the more famous some places get, I was saying, the more famous some places get, from paranormal investigating, the more they can charge for someone to paranormal investigate.
Yeah. It's a struggle. Like, I find Vancouver itself that there is hot spots or whatnot and places to investigate. But once they become city owned or a heritage building, that's it. It's the hardest achievement to try to enter. So, out here anyway, we find that it's a little bit limited. But it's nice. I find it really nice to be able to go back to a location, and whether you're trying to debunk your own evidence or gain more. And I find that, that's what keeps us moving is, give it time, go through your evidence, do what we have to do. And then if we feel like it's time to go back, it's no problem. Debunk your own things or even invite a second team with you, and they can help debunk certain things. And if they can't, you've just got help to gain in knowledge that this could be something. You're on the right track here. Let's keep it going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just further the experience, further the your notes, right?
Yep. When you guys go places, investigate certain locations, stuff like that, what do you use for protection? I'm not talking protection like from what could possibly run around the corner, like a homeless person or an animal. I'm talking about protection that's sensitive against the spiritual realm.
Christie actually is, she's into the crystals and a little bit of stuff like that.
We actually have like close family friends, I guess we could say, that actually do like, if you want to say, protection spells or cleansing idea.
Cleansing.
So we've started kind of doing those methods, and thankfully they have worked. I mean, we've never had anything follow us.
Yeah,
or-
we feel like we've never had anything follow us home. We'll be honest, we're new in that aspect. But like Christy said, it's great that we do have people that have kind of guided us, taught us, and yeah,
It's a learning process.
it is. We're all students, right?
No, the crystal thing is very effective. Believe me, I never put too much stock into crystals whatsoever until I became an investigator and saw the effects of what crystals go through after an investigation that I've done. I've seen crystals crack, amethysts have like cracks running through, pieces of the stones actually break off. The amount of energy it goes through in an investigation protected me from any kind of damage I would get. Other things we use, salt being number one thing. If I have to give anyone advice, it's salt. Have something either at your home or something like that. But with crystals and different protection symbols, help out a lot, especially to ward off things that are dark or things like that. And always, even though we always say this after investigation, it never seems to stick, but always seem to tell the spirits you can't follow us home.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crystal thing is a good idea.
It is. We enjoy it. We all seem to pack a crystal in our pocket when we head out, but we always make sure our one thing is when we arrive to locations or cemeteries is that we are only here to communicate. We're here to communicate. We're here to learn about you. And when our time is done, we all respectfully hope that you find yourself here at your place at where you reside. And this is where we will come and visit. As far as coming home with us, that's just an absolute. We make it clear. We do treat every location with respect, but we also have to make sure that the spirits understand that we have guidelines that we follow, and we would appreciate for them to follow the same thing.
And they've respected that. I think we've been fortunate enough, I would say, to not come across anything as dark as you may have come across on your investigations. Maybe that could be part of it. But I think we're still kicking. We're still here. So we've done something right.
No, I always ask about the protection thing because with investigators in the rest of the world, some who don't have psychics on their team, or even some who don't have either psychics who have no protection abilities whatsoever. My team, the reason why we necessarily don't use as much protection because each of us have an ability to kind of fight back in a sense. That's why I always stress it to people who don't have abilities whatsoever or in the paranormal world to have some form of protection, especially when you go into places that might be somewhat dangerous, or if you even remotely try to provoke whatsoever. I call it picking a fight, but when you provoke and stuff like that, you might be pissing something off, and
Exactly. How do you fight something you can't see, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why I always, stress to people, investigators, have some form of protection, whether it be a crucifix, a cross, a crystal, something that can stop something in its tracks if it does try to harm you.
Agreed.
Yeah, I
And especially if you go into the woods, carry a weapon. Not that I deal with any wildlife in the woods around here, but I don't want to be unprepared if I ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Cougars lately here in BC have become a big thing. So
bears aren't as friendly as they look.
Yeah, bears, cougars. Don't believe the friendly bear stories. Yeah, I mean, mountains and woods, that's, we have a lot of mountains here in BC. You don't want to come across a mountain lion or anything. Yeah.
Something I never dealt with, but I don't know if you guys ever talked to anyone who did, or even with your own experience, but in abandoned locations like buildings and ex-hospitals, stuff like that, have you found any homeless people in there or any squatters?
No, but there has been
traces of it.
People have been there, but we've been lucky enough to not actually come across people camping out there when we're there.
Yeah. A lot of traces of it. And that's why it probably is important to carry some kind of form of protection in that aspect if we're going to abandoned asylums, hospitals, barns, whatever. Yeah, absolutely. We often come across graffiti, but a lot of traces of homeless, whether it be I've seen beds, and the big thing, of course, if there's a homeless person that may have been there, always look where you're stepping as well. It being, of course, an old building, you also don't want to step on something and, need a hospital visit, But for the most part, these places have been relatively clean, but yeah, definitely clear traces of homeless people. But
I mean, we also don't put ourselves in danger.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Either, right?
Absolutely. Especially an abandoned place that we may come across. We like to scope it out, flashlights, obviously, whether it be look in the windows, is it safe? The number one thing is you want to protect yourself. If a location or an area isn't safe, we won't do it. Why would you want to put yourself in harm's way in that sense, right? As exciting as it may be, you still got to protect yourself at the end of the day. So,
yeah, and there's a house that my team are looking at to investigate here soon that doesn't have a second floor, or it did. No, but we either will try to get inside as much as we can, or at least investigate as much outside as we can. So it's situations like that my team has come across it. We investigated the woods, graveyards, and a few homes and one building, but as of actual abandoned places, it's kind of on our wish list in a sense like that.
Yeah,
we have a lot of abandoned property down here, so it's accessible. I mean, for the most part, it's sturdy and durable.
and the hardest part too is we spend more time looking for owners of abandoned buildings. We like to follow the rules. And,
a little bit,
even though a house is boarded up and you could see it's going to be taken down, there's always someone behind those boards that still own that property, whether it be a developer, or it could be I've come across realtors that own places that are going to be teared down. And then the hardest part is trying to track down is which one of the three own the property.
Yeah.
And it gets difficult at times.
Yeah, I guess we should clarify when we say abandoned, we're not taking crowbars and breaking into places. if something is boarded up and we have the opportunity to investigate something like this, great. There's an open door and then there's a closed door. We'll use the open door. If there's an area that's not gated and it's open and it's welcoming, whatever, great. We're gonna go in there. But if something's boarded up, we're not disrespecting property like that. We're all, we're not kids here. We're not trying to get arrested. So we're just trying to do what we're passionate about, right? So
yeah. I guess one of my, I guess not final questions, but I guess one of my major questions I always ask is, what is your hope for the paranormal, for the future of paranormal research in its entirety?
I hope it could be a lesson. In all honesty, like, I've been so drawn to teams from the States, and, I've seen teams go out to high schools and do full on communicate with us and teach the kids about the paranormal. I think it's a passion that, whether people are scared or not, I think, or I'm hoping that it's a passion where more people will learn how to trend with it, really.
Make it more known. When sometimes down here, when people say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, well, I paranormal investigate." They kind of look at you like crazy.
yeah, even
right?
wearing our hoodies, we like to wear our hoodies, and the back of our hoodies, it says paranormal investigator. Right away, that leads to a conversation piece. That conversation will either go bad or very like, what?
People are either interested or they're like,
Yeah.
you need-
And I would like to see a lot more unity. I would love more teams, at least locally, to unite more. I would, just
It's
the
nice meeting
politics.
other people out
Absolutely.
there that enjoy doing
Yeah,
the same thing.
absolutely.
And like,
And I think, absolutely, I think we all need to really just unite. And yeah, just, it can't be so territorial. Like, relax. Absolutely.
It's so difficult because of those other distractions, people taking territories and claiming buildings as their own, where we enjoy the fact that we are open to team sharing. So, for instance, if we have a location that's a bit big for 3 of us, we'll invite a team that we're close to. We'll make it a team of 5, a team of 6, no problem, and let's share the location. But on the other hand, I truly believe TV and how that's taken away from our perspective of investigators. TV to me is something scripted. This is where you're going today. This is how you're going to do it.
Read your lines.
With us, there's been times with us, like, you're hitting a cemetery at 2:00 in the afternoon. And why does it have to be a nighttime thing all the time? And just being united, being able to pick up your phone to other teams and saying, "Hey, I got this," or "Do you have that? Let's plan a trip. Let's do this." I think that's what truly it needs to be about. We're all here to help someone. If I can send, like yourself, Isaac, if I can send you a piece of a clip of an EVP and say, "Hey, man, I need a second thought on this," it should be like an open door policy, man. Like, yeah, I'll help you, and I got something for you. I just need like a third eye on this. And that's truly what I think it's about.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Not one I've heard before, but yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen. I always say my always hope is that the paranormal gets taken seriously in a level of other forms of science, that it gets studied as any other form of science that has been before and in the future and stuff like that, when it comes to understanding and being taken seriously in the sense of like, this is real, as telling people that it's not anymore just because we can't measure it, we can't study it. There's plenty of scientific instruments out there right now that prove the existence of these things. We just need better technology in order to measure it in the exact way that it needs to be measured.
Exactly.
Something that I'd like to start, I think I did a few other times, but because I've been interviewing you guys, what questions do you have for me, if any?
I think is my question would be as a paranormal team, with your team. What is your main purpose? What are you searching for yourself? Are you gathering evidence and sharing them to the proper people, or is it all knowledge for yourself and your team? Because what I like to do, like for an example, Irving House here in New West, is when we went there and investigated, I'm working on an actual USB stick of savings of findings and recordings that we've captured to go back and actually present to them and to give to them as a gift. As you know, this is what we've done. I believe that it's proper for sharing that information, and you can keep that for your own record, right?
Yeah. Like I said before, my team doesn't really have much video evidence because it's hard for us to capture videos when we're using our abilities. Though I think we're going to investigate in GoPros just so we can have our hands free, but also you can see it from our point of views of what each person's doing.
That's cool.
I'll say it's not so much us trying to learn about the other side, because we have learned a lot about the other side from not even going out investigations. Our understanding of what the paranormal is already, not to say cemented, but in a sense of we kind of already have a good idea of what's going on. And that is a long conversation for another time. But what our main goal is what we've learned is that each of our abilities is specifically valuable for investigating, especially fighting dark entities and demonic spirits. So we go to locations that are essentially being, tormented, but the spirits there are being tormented by a particular spirit, keeping them at a location. So we go to that location, take out the darkness permanently, and then allow the spirits there to cross over that are trapped or imprisoned. A few locations we've been to before have been that situation. So my ability specifically helps with getting rid of the darkness, and then everyone else comes in and helps those spirits cross over. But that is our main goal, is to go to location, place to place, case to case with anyone we meet, and eradicate any darkness that we can find to allow spirits to cross over. And if spirits want to stay, hey, that's their prerogative. We've encountered a few spirits who wanted to stay at locations just because it's all they've ever known, and they figure it's their home and they don't want to leave. So we're like, okay, you can stay. And we tell those spirits, hey, you got to cross over. Now's the time. So that is our main goal. Is it collecting evidence? Yeah, it would help with proving ourselves and things like that, but it's not our main prerogative. It's collecting evidence. So Megan, my co-host, feels that we should start recording at least our POV so people see our point of view, what we deal with in locations. I would tell let's tax return time. Let's look at some GoPros, see if we can find some with discounted prices. But no, that is my team's main prerogative, is to clear out locations. Because sometimes spirits don't want to be at a place, and those who want to stay can stay. And some of them we've encountered, they need something before they cross over. The unfinished business rule, as they say. They need
that's a really
before they can cross over.
Yeah, that's a really good point of view, actually.
Well, if you have the ability to send them over in that one, would it?
Yeah, but to make that such a focus is actually quite interesting, because we don't see much of that here. You know, here there is cases where we've come across where spirits want to move onto the other side. And because we can't do that, we're reaching out to a third party or people that we know that have the ability to do that. But to actually go and make that your focus, where to fully help on that level, it is actually quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're handed such weapons, you either use them or you let them collect dust. And I can't stand by and knowing that I can help, not help. So especially when my ability is so rare, I've hardly met anyone remotely close to what I can do.
Yeah, no, that's...
Mike, you're the listener, right? You listen to the show?
I do, yeah.
So you know what I can do, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I've been so tied up before. It's been nuts.
No excuses. I understand. For Christie and Phil, I don't know if you've explained it to them or not, but I have distinct ability to feel the energy of the dead in my hands, but also I can pull said energy into myself and filter it, but through my body, essentially. And I learned to differentiate good from evil from each hand. Left hand is good spirits, right hand is dark spirits. And that helps me find things. And the closer the sensation, how it feels, is almost like a staticness that starts if your hand goes to sleep. It starts in the palm of my hand. It's spreads across my entire hand and that tells me how close something is, or at least how strong it is. But as of the last year or so, I have learned to imprison these dark entities rather than filtering them, specifically into a ring. Everything that I've pulled in the last year or so is in one ring. It's actually a King Solomon replica ring that I have them imprisoned in. And I've lost count of how much dark entities are in it. It's like creating a haunted object, essentially. And I didn't 100% believe I was doing this until after my wife and a few other psychics touched the ring, or at least were near it, and they said it sounds like they hear tons of screaming and swearing. And one guy said it sounded like a prison, a bunch of people yelling out at one time. So that tells me there's a lot of angry spirits in there. And most people ask, like, what are you afraid of them getting out? No, they are somehow unable to leave.
That's really cool gift, actually.
Yeah.
Makes me a dangerous weapon in the paranormal world, especially for investigations and dealing with dark things like this. Yeah. And the thing is,
I'm happy you're over in North Carolina and not here. You know, we need the spirits here to stick around.
Oh no! That's another thing. I don't take human spirits off the plane. I feel it's cruel to rip someone from their home that's there. I use my left hand to feel if someone's there, but as a pulling said person off the plane, no, I never do that. I feel it's cruel. Though there's a woman I met through this. Funny enough, she's in Australia. She can do what I do, but she does it for the side of light. She can pull energy of people and cross them over. So she can help someone cross over who's unafraid or at least unable to. She can pull their energy, feel it, and then transfer it to the other side.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
But she's all the way in Australia, so us helping us here is not so much. But no, my wife has gotten very good at helping spirits cross over. Her being that level of psychic that she is.
Well, fascinating.
Well, guys, I appreciate the time.
We thank you.
No, thank you. This has been amazing. This is so
Yeah,
cool.
I always
It's
like
a very different experience for us. This is wild.
No, I always like talking to other investigators from other parts of the world, as it seems to be, especially around these areas. But getting different perspectives of how people investigate and why they do is something that I'm always passionate, interested in. Especially because I know if everything goes well for my team, we're going to be traveling the entire United States and hopefully the world to at some point, doing what we do. So making friends at different parts of the entire planet is kind of what we're trying to do. So
Yeah, for sure. That'd be great to meet up with you guys.
That's literally what we should be doing.
Exactly.
Making friends.
Make friends. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ever in Vancouver, we would love to have you here.
yeah, I've never been that far north, though I do enjoy the cold. Most Southerners wouldn't say that, but no, I actually do enjoy the cold. I hate summertime. I love the wintertime. I love the cold. I guess it's my thick skin, but I like winter cold.
You gotta come during the snow seasons then.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you guys coming on. Where can everyone find you? Like your Instagram, TikToks, or Twitters, or whatever. Your social media. There we go.
Our main Instagram account is the Unknown Paranormal. We also post our findings and our video clips to YouTube at the Unknown Paranormal.
Facebook is also the Unknown Paranormal. And our TikTok is also
Probably the same.
Unknown Paranormal. Our TikTok, is Unknown Paranormal BC. And we also have a website. We can definitely send it to you as well.
And we'll definitely share those links in the posts when we start posting this episode. But I do thank you guys for coming on. And as always, we'll catch your videos in the next one.
For sure. Have a good one.
You guys are welcome. And as always, we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
And on a cold, cold night, there was a bone chill